Welcome to Biz Help for You with host Candy Messer. Entrepreneurs like to focus on the big picture, like profitability, success, and a smooth running organization. There always seems to be those little things like taxes, employee compensation, laws, regulations, and more. Now, you can get the answers you need in one place. Join us today as we break it all down for you. Now, here is your host, Candy Messer.
Hello and welcome to Biz Help for You with Candy Messer. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found the information on last week's show, The Courage to Lead, informative. If you are unable to join us and would like to listen to the show, you can find a link posted on our YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as the podcast shared on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If there are topics you'd find beneficial or questions you have, please feel free to reach out to me at media@abandp.com. Now, let's learn a little bit about our guest today. David Trotter is a business growth consultant dedicated to helping new business owners rise above their biggest barriers to reach their greatest goals. After consistently hearing from his clients about the challenges of creating content for social media, lead magnets, and webinar slide decks, he launched Rise Up Creatives, a membership platform to help business owners create beautiful, engaging social media content in just 5 minutes a day. David is also the host of the Inspiration Rising podcast with over 180 episodes featuring female entrepreneurs and leaders sharing their experience and wisdom, and his latest book is entitled Empowered to Rise: The Secret to Embracing Your True Identity, Uncovering Your Superpowers, and Bringing Your Inspiration to the World. Previously, David was a pastor starting fast-growing churches for over 10 years, owned a six-figure marketing boutique for 12 years, produced and directed 4 award-winning feature films on social justice issues, and has written a dozen books. David and his wife, Laura, have been married for over 26 years, and they live in Southern California with their 2 almost grown kids who are both in college. So, David, welcome to the show.
That was a mouthful, Candy. That was man, I should have written something a little shorter for you. My goodness.
Well, I do like to have background on those, but actually that doesn't really cover a whole lot, even though it sounds like it. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you actually began working with entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, I was a pastor for over 10 years. And that's kind of the trajectory out of high school that I sensed my life was going, went to seminary and so forth. And so I found, though, that I really was a workaholic in those
Mm,
10 years. You know, a lot of pastors work a lot of hours, but I was really focused on not only helping people, but growing churches. So I started
mm,
churches from scratch. And unfortunately, I was trying to fill kind of a hole of not enoughness within
mm.
me. And I thought, man, if I could grow the churches bigger, help more people, then that would kind of make me more significant. Unfortunately, that led to a burnout breakdown experience for myself about 13 years ago. And I had to kind of rebuild my life, figure out, well, what do I want to do? Because I was finding that being in full time ministry wasn't healthy for me.
Mm,
So I started a marketing business because we had used a lot of marketing type strategies to help grow the church. And I've self-taught in a lot of things and just hired contractors and developed a great business for that, and wanted to continue making a difference in the world. So I started making documentaries on, as you mentioned, social justice issues, made one on orphans in India
mm.
called Mother India: Life Through the Eyes of the Orphan. It was on Netflix for 2 years, 2012 to
Oh,
2014. All my films are on Amazon still. But around late 2018, I told my wife I really would like to be making a difference on more of a day-to-day basis than a year-to-year basis, because films take so long
right.
to produce and create. And so we talked about me doing some consulting and coaching because of my entrepreneurial background, starting churches, very entrepreneurial. We had also started a furniture store as part of the church, and I had started over, the marketing business and some other things. So we talked about podcasting, of course, and she said, well, who would be the audience? Who would be the individuals who would be, want to work with you? And I said, well, looking back over 25 years of ministry and marketing and movies, the group of people that seem to most resonate with my work happen to be women,
Mm,
kind of the 30 to 50 year age range. And although it seems a little awkward, she agreed. And so we started Inspiration Rising, and I started doing some coaching and business consulting. And it's kind of just grown over the last couple of years. And I just love helping people get clear about what they want to do in life and in business, and then help them develop a step-by-step strategy to whether it's start it or grow it. And most of those individuals happen to be women. And
Hmm.
I just feel very collaborative in that space. And it's a little odd, I probably don't put that in print too much, frankly, because I've gotten some pushback from some women, like, don't tell us what to do, and I'm like, oh man, that's not my heart at all. I'm here to
Right.
champion and support and encourage. So it's an interesting journey, but I do feel like I need to be in my sweet spot, and I
Hmm.
think that's where it is.
Well, and there are so many women that are starting businesses, and especially, in the last year with the pandemic and a lot of women having to stay home with children and potentially even giving up their employment and looking for opportunities. There's probably going to be even more who are starting businesses if they haven't already in the last 12 months. And so I can see where that would be a market that would for sure need your assistance.
Yeah, yeah. And my wife is a kindergarten teacher for the last 20 plus years, and I see how those families are impacted by the
Mhm.
kids, many kids learning from home. She
Right.
teaches kids that are just fully online. And a lot of those individuals, especially moms, maybe that weren't working, are going, man, I gotta do something. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
want to do something. I love helping my kids. I love being, but it also gets to be a little crazy, just with all that energy at home.
Right.
Not that creating a business, it actually can feel like a relief sometimes, something for
Hmm.
myself, that I get to grow and do. So it's fun.
That's true. I was in that space too before I started my business. I actually, worked outside the home for a few years, but when I first started my job, my career, I started as a cashier as a teenager, and I stayed in that job through the birth of my second child. And then I was like, it doesn't make sense for me, to pay for, care and all of the things that go along with that to, work a full-time job. So I was home for a few years. And at one point I started to feel like I'm just wife and mom. I don't have something for myself. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something outside the home. And at first it started as a job, working for another company. And then quite a few years later, my husband's like, do your own thing. Customers love you. I'd already had this kind of on the side of my real job, and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
do your own thing. You're good at it. And so that's kind of how it started. But I know that feeling of wanting to have something besides, just wife and mom and not feeling I had something. I'm one of those people that needs to achieve something. And I think even though I know I was achieving things and having a great family and doing all the things to help my kids, I think I needed something additional just to keep me kind of energized almost.
Yeah. And of course, it's different for everybody. And I know this is a sensitive topic because it's like, well, isn't, raising kids and managing a home enough? Of course, it's
Mhm.
like whatever you want to do is
It can
enough.
be. Mhm.
But there is a sense, though, that as a woman has the opportunity to generate income, either for herself or for the family, it creates this incredible sense of empowerment
Mhm.
and a bit of independence, I think, in a healthy way.
Right.
A lot of individuals that I see, women are, maybe they're coming out of a marriage 25 years in, kids are grown, and now they're going, wow, this marriage is not healthy for me. And now they're going, how do I generate income? Because I've
Mm.
only stayed at home. And so, not that you want to create a business just as a safety net, just because you
Right.
may get divorced, but at the same time, I think there's such an empowerment that I see in women for creating something that's hers, and that she's using her gifts and talents to serve an ideal client and generate income. It's just so powerful.
It definitely is. You're telling my story. So no. But I would love to start shifting into the content we really wanted to start talking about today and talking about the challenges that those business owners would face when it comes to social media.
Yes. Well, a lot of the women that I help, and men, feel overwhelmed by social media. They know, yes, I want to, I need to leverage social media. And some of them aren't even on much social media themselves. They go,
Hmm.
well, I maybe post some pics on Facebook, especially for an older,
Right.
I say older, somebody in their 40s or 50s,
Hmm.
uh, that's not older, but in terms of social media, maybe they never
Right.
jumped on that in that world and can feel overwhelming. You mean I need to expose my life? I gotta, what do I write every day? I don't know what to post, but I know I should because everybody's telling me I should. And as I describe it, it's the town square of our
Mhm.
world, you know? Yeah, of course, we still have quote unquote farmers markets where people go and sell their goods,
Right.
but really, that's a few people. The world is online. And so if you're going to offer something, a product or service, that's the place to offer it. And by
Mhm.
just having a website, that's like hoping someone finds you. It's not going to happen. You've got to be a part of the major conversation. And yet the challenge becomes, what do I post? How do I post? And it
Right.
feels overwhelming. And we wanted to help people take away that overwhelm.
And I think it's not just what should I write, or what should I post, but it's like social media is always having something new coming out, right? So you might get familiar with Facebook, like my generation, right? We're more on Facebook and LinkedIn and things like that. But now they're like talking about TikTok. I'm like, okay, there's something new. Or there was Snapchat at one point, or like all these different things that come out. And it's like, what should you really be focusing on? And you don't want to feel totally overwhelmed trying to keep up with it. And I think that's part of the overwhelm as well.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And then it can feel like fear of missing out, right?
Mhm.
FOMO of like, oh my gosh, I don't have a TikTok, but I don't want to dance or
Right.
Instagram Reels, or how do I do that? So it's really about, first of all, going, where is your ideal client? Where do
Mhm.
they hang out? And so let's go there. And then what's interesting to them?
Mhm.
Because you can use TikTok and Reels without ever dancing at all. You can leverage that just through words and speaking or some simple movements that would be engaging. But the question always comes down to, where is your ideal client? Because
Mhm.
you don't want to be spending time on, some platform just because it's the hip thing when your ideal client's not even there.
Right. That's so true. So once you kind of figure out maybe where you should be posting and where your ideal client is, like what are the best topics then that someone should be posting about in order to increase their visibility and people finding them, liking them, knowing them, trusting them?
Right. Well, once again, it's like, well, what do I post about? And a lot of people that are just starting in trying to promote their business on social media, it just becomes, let me tell you about my business. Let me tell you about the
Mhm.
product. Let me tell you about my service. Every post, and nobody's interested in that really
Right.
overall. That's not going to create the know, like, and trust, like you said. The assumption is that most people who are starting their business, that they're the face of that business.
Mhm.
Most businesses these days have a face, which is usually the founder,
Right.
the person who's starting it. And so we teach 7 categories of posts at Rise Up Creatives that we have found to be the most effective overall, that these are things that you're utilizing over the course of the month. The first category is my life.
Mm.
That if I want to be connected to you in terms of your business, I want to know something about your life. Just a little bit, just something. It doesn't, and I know this can feel, some of my clients, even last week, they're like, but why do I have to tell people about my life? I like my privacy. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I get it. But your privacy, how private is it to say that you are, uh, going to a certain restaurant, or something about your kids, or maybe you're working out, or your favorite new outfit, or that you like plants, or, it's not really a big privacy issue. But I'll tell you, people feel connected to you. If you've
Mhm.
ever been following somebody online who's kind of a quote unquote influencer, and then all of a sudden they show a picture of their dog or their family or their home, I personally have this warm, fuzzy feeling of, wow, I kind of, I'm getting behind, like, this, know them a little bit.
Right.
It makes me feel more connected to them. So my life, the second category is my why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because if you tell me the reason why you started this business, I will feel more connected to you. I
Mhm.
will actually be cheerleading you. Like, I want to be on your team, you know?
Right.
The third category is behind the scenes. Like, show me something, not just behind the scenes of your life, but behind the scenes of your business. If
Mm.
you're a podcaster, show me the other side of the mic. If you're a bookkeeper, show me you working at your computer. Where was your, workstation, or where you kind of hang out on your laptop? If you work with a one-on-one client, show me that in action. Fourth category would be inspirational. Inspire me somehow. Throw me a quote, a motivational tip, something that's inspirational in the industry that you're, talking about. So that's my life, my why, behind the scenes, inspirational, and then life and business learnings. So often, Candy, we present ourselves kind of our best foot forward,
Mm-hmm.
our all of our makeup on, looking good, on social media, right? But if we share a life learning or a business learning, that assumes that we don't know everything and that we're
Mm-hmm.
actually learning things along the way. And so not only can that life or business learning be helpful for our followers that they might be able to learn it, but they see us as human and someone who's always growing and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Sixth category is business, your product or service, whatever it is that you actually do. Like, okay, that's one of the seven. Okay, just tell us what it is and
Right.
the features. And then the last category is benefits to you. What are the benefits of working with you?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not necessarily promoting the product or service, you're just talking all about the benefits and how, the transformation that you'll get. So with those seven categories, we find that if those are spaced out over the course of, a week and month strategically, that's a holistic way of building know, like, and trust with your
Right.
audience.
Mm-hmm. And those are all great tips and ideas of what to share and, helping someone figure out, what that is, because it can feel overwhelming. But the next thing that feels overwhelming to them is having to just stay consistent. And we always hear consistency is important. So what would you tell somebody who's saying like, wow, I just don't have a lot of time, I can't get on every day or every week, to do this. So how would you help them know how to actually schedule these types of things in advance and plan out what that calendar might look like?
Yeah, and that's the key, Candy, is planning.
Mhm.
Because if you wake up and it's by noon and you're like, oh crud, they tell me I'm supposed to post every day.
Right.
What am I gonna do? I'm tired. I don't think I'm gonna do it. You got to have a plan ahead of
Mhm.
time. So you could almost many of your listeners might be familiar with meal planning, right? So
Mhm.
you're going to plan meals throughout your week, whether you're pre-cooking those and segmenting them, or you're just knowing, okay, this is what we're going to eat on dinners Monday through Friday. It's kind of the same with social media. You're planning the meal that you're presenting to your audience each day.
Mhm.
And the way that we teach people within the Rise Up Creatives is, first of all, you want to look for, over the course of a month, holidays that you'd want to leverage, because those holidays are on certain days. They're not going to move.
Right.
So like here in the United States, we just had St. Patrick's Day.
Mhm.
So if you're thinking about March 2021, you would go, okay, I want to leverage St. Patrick's Day for my business. I want to promote something on that day, not necessarily promote, but just like tie it into your business. It could be about like if I was to post something for your business, I would say, don't rely on good luck
Mm.
when it comes to keeping your book straight.
Right.
Although luck would be, and then you have like a picture of a four-leaf clover or something, and you tie it in back to your business somehow. So you can do that with any holiday. It doesn't have to be a major holiday. March 31st, 2021, believe it or not, Candy, is National Crayon Day. Come
Oh,
on now,
interesting.
that's a good holiday. Um, Maybe it's just my wife as a kindergartner is rubbing off on me.
Mhm.
So first of all, get those holidays down and what you're going to post to leverage. The second is, what are the launch promo days? We call them launch promo days. So it's a day in the week where you're going to launch or promote something. It could be promoting a new product or service. It could be just your regular business, whatever you're going to promote that day. It could be a discount. It could be a lead magnet or a freebie that you want people to download. Choose that day as the second step, right? First holiday, second is the lead launch promo day. Let's just say it's on a Thursday.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to launch this thing, whatever it is, a lead magnet on how to, let's see, how to prepare your books for your bookkeeper, like, or how to prepare something, because you got to prepare something.
Right.
Top three things your bookkeeper wants you to know. There you
Mm.
go. That would be good. So it's a PDF, top three things your bookkeeper wants you to know, and it's coming out on a Thursday. The next step three, is to denote the days leading up to that launch promo day. So let's just say that that lead magnet is on a Thursday that you're going to launch that. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you would want to use those posts to lead up to that lead magnet. So maybe one could be a quote about the importance of bookkeeping. It could be some sort of tied in inspirational. I don't know how bookkeeping can be inspirational, Tammy or Candy. It would kill me. Oh man. But like some sort of inspirational quote.
Mhm.
And it could be a PS. Don't miss the special release we have on Thursday.
Mhm.
Tuesday, it could be a behind the scenes picture. It actually could be funny with you pulling your hair because a made up client didn't give you all the things that you needed,
Mhm.
right? That would be funny. Like that shows also kind of a playful side of you. Bookkeepers are not known as being playful, but I would, right? That could be kind of fun. And so,
Mhm.
but it's, kind of a PS. Hey, Thursday, I'm going to tell you what I really need from every client. Now, this has to come off as helpful and not like
Right.
somehow like
Not
vindictive, like or
condescending or something. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, we
Mhm.
would not want that in any way. And then Wednesday could be a a why, like maybe my why on why you got into bookkeeping and that you're so passionate about helping people stay in order and legal and blah blah blah, saving money, and I'm so passionate about this that I'm giving excited to give you something tomorrow. So right, so every one of those posts is very strategic leading up to the launch. All
Mhm.
right, so first thing, you carve out the holidays. Second thing, you denote the launch promo days, whatever you're promoting. And I wouldn't promote something more than once a week, of course.
Mhm.
And then the days leading up to that. And then the last is you fill in with the other 7 categories. Anything that's left remaining, excuse me, you're able to, kind of fill in that are probably a little more softer, like my life or life and business learnings, inspirational. So now you've got a whole 30, 31 days planned. When you
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, you're not going, what do I post? You actually could batch and pre-post those ahead of time because there are
Right.
often, there are scheduling platforms like Hootsuite or Buffer or Planoly or others where you could just do it all at one time for the week and then you're not overwhelmed. One of the ways that we help people not only train them at Rise Up Creatives is we provide imagery and customizable captions. So they're
Nice.
actually caption templates. And that's where for us it comes down to the 5 minutes a day, where you can select a template, modify it for your business, and then, you're off to the races. So
Right. Now that you mentioned captions too, I'd love you to just talk about, what is a formula that people can use to increase engagement or even know what to write when they're going to post something, because that can also be difficult. Once they know what they're going to do, well, now what do I say?
yes. So every one of our caption templates is written with kind of a 3-step formula. We call it the triple S method to writing a captivating caption. And those triple S's, the 3 S's, I should say, are stop the scroll,
Mm.
serve with insights, and then spark a conversation. So the first step is you got to stop that scroll because people are scrolling on their phone, either on Facebook or Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it might be. And the image, can be part of that. Of course, the image needs to
Mhm.
be scroll stopping, but those first few lines of the caption, there's an opportunity to post a bold statement, something that's a little bit maybe controversial.
Mhm.
It could be, as a bookkeeper, it could be something like, um, uh, I mean, this is silly, but like, because it may or may not be true, but like, I hate software. I hate bookkeeping software programs, right? I
Right.
remember the days when we used to do it with pencil and paper, or, I don't want to age you here, but,
Right.
but something that's a little bold, right? A little
Mhm.
controversial. It could be a question. Questions are great ways to stop the scroll. It could be relating to their pain point in some way. So that first couple of lines is really important. The second is serve with insights. So this is the meat of the post, and it could be anywhere from, 1 or 2 sentences up to several paragraphs
Mhm.
that is somehow providing some sense of insight, some information, education, transformation, or even entertainment to the reader.
Mhm.
You've got to something you're serving them with some sort of content that's connected, of course, to the scroll stopping,
Right.
introduction. Um, so like for instance, if we were talking about for you, I hate bookkeeping software. I remember the days when, I used to do something on pen and paper, blah, blah, blah. You may not realize that at A, B, and P, we use the latest up-to-date software on, blah, 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 blah. And it ensures that that we don't have X, Y, and Z. So what you're
Mhm.
doing by telling them about the software that you use, which they may not really care about the software, but what you're doing is you're creating trust
Mm.
because, wow, you use the latest software and this is how it helps you help me, right?
Right.
Um, that then is creating trust by doing that. All right. So then the third aspect of your caption is to spark a conversation.
Mhm.
Somehow getting them to engage with that post, liking it, commenting on it, sharing it, or saving it. And so one of the easiest ways to do that is getting them to comment on something. It could be, um, uh, like for instance, on the post that I was just making up with you. Um, what is your absolute favorite software that you can't live without?
Mm.
Right? So the line before that could have been, reality is we can't do our job without great software, and so it's just part of business, blah blah blah.
Right.
What is your favorite software that you can't absolutely live without? Tell me in the comments.
Mhm.
Okay, so the reason why we want to do that, one is because when people comment on your post, it drives it up in the algorithm so that more of your followers will see your post, because we know that not
Right.
everything you post is shown.
Right.
But when you get them to comment, other followers are more likely to actually see it. So that's one reason. The second reason why you want them to comment, Candy, is because you when you see who comments, you're able to engage with them and
Mhm.
develop just that more of that relationship. You want to respond to every comment that's ever posted. So it could be commenting, having them comment, having them tag a friend who needs to read it. It could be dropping an emoji. It could be asking them to DM you about something, but never post a, a, a caption that doesn't have a call to action, that
Mm.
doesn't spark some sort of conversation. You always want to be leading people in that direction. So stop the scroll, serve with insights, and spark a conversation. So I don't know. Does that resonate with
Mhm.
you, Candy?
For sure. Yeah, because I think too, I mean, we want to put content out there and we know people are busy and, you don't always expect to have all the engagement you would like to see, but at the same time, there are things we could do to help get that conversation going. But I've also heard, and I don't know if have facts to back this up, but that there's a certain number of words a comment needs to be to really get it to count as a comment. Like if someone just says nice or yes or something, like that's not really considered commenting. Have you heard that, or do you see evidence to back that up?
I'm not an expert in that area, but I have heard from some people that needs to be kind of that
Mhm.
5 words is kind of the goal. Um, and that's great, but at the same time, any commenting is better
Right, it's
than
better than
no
none.
commenting. Yeah.
Right,
And for a lot
exactly.
of people to leave a 5-word comment, that's the goal, is to get people
Mhm.
engaged in that way. But anything is better than nothing for sure.
Right, right. So what about going live? I mean, we've heard, there's Facebook Live or YouTube has live and everything now too. Do you recommend that someone actually go live, or do you recommend maybe they just record something and post it later, so they're comfortable? What would you tell a business owner who's thinking about should I or shouldn't I go live?
Yeah, yeah. Well, going live is definitely better than recording something and posting it, because
Mhm.
when you go live, most of the platforms are then notifying your followers, especially if they've been
Mm.
engaged with your page or group or whatever it might be. So that's the power of going live, is they get notified. Not everyone, but some of your followers are, and so they'll be more
Right.
likely to jump on.
Oh.
You also have the opportunity to engage with them through, if they post a question, you can respond. But I would definitely encourage people to look into, okay, what would it look like for me to go live in my business? Not just to get on there and say, hey, I hope you're having a great day, but bringing something of value that you need to pre-plan and go, what is it that I'm going to share? And the same way that you would write Caption,
Hmm.
the same formula applies. Stop the
Yeah.
scroll. Now they're scrolling because they're seeing something or they're seeing a live, but it's capturing their attention in the first few sentences
Hmm.
somehow, and then jumping into the meat of whatever you're talking about, but then having a call to action. But lives are very, very powerful. One of the reasons, not only because they're notifying your followers, but because if I see you moving and being a human being rather than just words on a page or a flat image, but if I see you actually talking with passion and information, like you're informed on whatever it is that you're offering me, know, like, and trust skyrockets, because
Right.
now I can really feel like, okay, this is a real human that I can connect with, right? I feel like I really know you now.
Right. Hmm. I think that's true too. I think it's just sometimes people are afraid of, if they're going live, what if they make a mistake, or, what if the dog starts barking, or what if, they're fumbling around, or they don't know, should I actually, like, if I see someone coming in and now are watching, should I actually acknowledge them, instead of just sharing what I'm sharing? Like, what would you say in terms of any of those kind of things?
Yeah, it can feel very overwhelming without a doubt. And it's hard because I was a pastor for 10 years and spoke to, hundreds and
Right.
thousands of people. So it's, feels a little bit more comfortable, but even I get a little nervous, like, okay, here we go. We're doing it. But you can practice, start out with just recording yourself if that feels more comfortable. You
Hmm.
can also just record yourself and not ever post it.
Mm,
It's just getting comfortable,
practice. Hmm.
talking. But also, the more people feel like it's a conversational rather than a presentation, they
Right.
feel more comfortable, with it. So yeah, when somebody comes on, if I see and I am able to see their name, I'll definitely say hello to them.
Hmm.
Um, if dogs are barking, or a plane, like I live near John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California, and so planes are constantly flying over, and so sometimes I'll, say, "Oh, got a plane," and I'll tie it in somehow. Like even
Hmm.
because we've been in the pandemic, I'll say something like, "Now, when you hear that plane, that's good news. Like we're getting back to some sense of normal. Look at that.
Hmm.
We're going to be traveling here, or just tie it in."
Right.
um, so that I don't feel like I have to be perfect. You
Hmm.
know, people are not expecting you to be perfect. I
Right.
would say that when it comes to kind of the I'm not sure, like that makes
Right.
people feel uncomfortable
Hmm.
because they're like, oh, you're not prepared. So you do
Hmm.
need to be prepared. And if you're not used to going live, practice it once before you
Hmm.
actually do the live. So when I'm giving when I've given a sermon, I used to speak 3 times on a Sunday, twice on a Sunday morning and once in the Sunday evening. And I would, before the first time I gave that sermon, I would literally give it in the mirror at least 3 times,
Mm.
verbally, out loud. Everybody's got their own style. Other pastors don't do that. But for me, I would give it in the mirror 3 times before I ever stood up on stage, and it got it inside me. Then I'm
Hmm.
not just regurgitating something. I'm
Right.
actually like it's in me.
Hmm.
You can do the same thing on a live. There's nothing weird about doing that. Like you practice it and then go for it.
Hmm. So what about those that feel like, oh, well, people are going to look at me and see that I'm not as great as, the next person who's doing this, and they don't feel confident in that. Of course, we've heard imposter syndrome is one of the things that we've heard that called. But what would you say to somebody who, is maybe thinking of doing it, but saying, well, I'm not going to be as good as like the next person that they're going to see on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or anywhere that they might find them?
Right. So it all begins with who's your ideal client? Who is that individual that you feel called to serve and you have a connection with?
Hmm.
So let's just take your business if you don't mind. Like, who
Sure.
would you say is like your sweet spot? These are the people that I love to work with.
Generally, service-based business owners who, most of the time, they're the sole owner of their company and they're trying to do everything themselves and they're completely overwhelmed and frustrated and exhausted and they don't like, or they're terrified of doing the work that we're doing and thinking it's going to be done wrong.
Oh, I love that. All right. Service-based owners tend to own the business themselves. They're overwhelmed, they're stressed out, they got a lot on their plate, and they're overwhelmed by the idea of bookkeeping. Sounds like me. I've got a great bookkeeper, so I'm very happy, but I hate bookkeeping. I hate everything associated with it. So I get it. Like, I
Right.
understand. Okay. So, how many bookkeepers are there in North America?
Thousands.
Thousands,
Yeah.
right? Thousands. Yes. And how many businesses are there?
Many, many,
Thousands.
many,
Yeah.
many, many. Yes.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Who knows? So I love what Seth Godin, he's a marketing expert, said many years ago. He's like, you don't have to be the best at what you do. You just have to be the person that the best option that they know about. I butchered his quote. You get the point. You don't have to
I
be the
understand.
best. Okay, you don't have to be the best. You just need to be the best that they know about. So that's where the know, like, and trust comes in. That I have a certain ideal client that I know I love to work with, and they love to work with me. And so when I get on, I'm speaking to them.
Right.
Anybody else who's not attracted to me in terms of like working with me, and they're not my ideal client.
Right.
And so all you have to worry about are those people. There's always going to be somebody better. You're never going to be the best, because even if you were, the next day somebody else would do something and they would become better than you. So it's impossible. The comparison is a thief of joy.
Right.
It's just the worst. So I just go, I'm here to serve. And that's the thing that changes my mind set about all of that. So if I'm concerned about my performance, then I'm more thinking about me rather than thinking about you. But if I'm thinking about you as my potential client, I'm here to serve you.
Right.
How can I help you? Now the focus isn't on who's doing better or whatever. No, I'm just here to serve you. How can I help you? That shifts my mindset so fast out of comparison. And I'm just here to help. And if I'm not the best person to help you, that's okay.
Right.
We want to help you find somebody else if it's not a good fit. So for me, that shift toward I'm here to serve my ideal client, that takes away that sense of performance.
Yep. That's so good. Well, I know we're running out of time. This has been, a great discussion. I'm sure there's so much more that we could cover. But I would like to ask if there's anything that you would like to offer to the listeners, that could help them, in this area.
Of course, our resource, Rise Up Creatives, is a great resource. We provide 31 lifestyle images every month that people can use on their feed or stories or blog posts, as well as 31 customizable captions that they can use right on their feed. And we have a graphic design studio with hundreds of templates in a drag and drop graphic design studio to create graphics for your business. So if they want a 7-day free trial of that, they just go to riseupcreatives.com/free trial. So
Okay.
riseupcreatives.com/free trial, and they can check it out and see if it's a good fit.
Perfect. And if they want to connect with you, do you have any other, like whether you want to share social media or website or phone number, any way for them to reach out to you? What would you, give them for that?
Yeah, you can find us at Rise Up Creatives on all the social media platforms. And also I'd encourage you to check out the Inspiration Rising podcast on any of your favorite podcast apps. We have over 180 plus episodes of female entrepreneurs who are just incredible and inspiring to listen to.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, David, for being a guest on my show and sharing, your expertise in this area. I'm sure, it's been a great help to the listener. So
Great to be with you, Candy. I appreciate it.
thanks. And I just want to thank the listeners actually for tuning in as well to this podcast. I hope you found this topic interesting and that it answered some of your questions on how to stand out and save time on social media. If you have any additional questions or comments, be sure to reach out to David at any of the links that he shared, or send us a message at media@abandp.com. And would you please share our show information with those you know? I'd greatly appreciate your support. Be sure to join us next week for another important discussion. And remember, you can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And my website is abandp.com. You can also find the podcast posted on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Until next time, have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next Tuesday. Have a terrific week.